Oh my goodness, this latest chapter of Black Clover was spectacular. Chapter 308 is easily, without a shadow of a doubt, the absolute best YUNO chapter we have ever received. With the previous chapter, we opened up to the devilish dealing of Zenon and Beelzebub, as in exchange for all of himself, Zenon desired the heart of a devil. That so long as the Spade Kingdom continued to exist, he was even willing to offer his very soul. And so with that, Zenon the Devil was born. His already devastating power was now of a cataclysmic level. He immediately overwhelmed Yuno with several blows, pausing briefly only to pull a Thanos and tell Yuno that he should have gone for the heart, even if it meant killing his comrade in the process. But with that, Zenon was able to take Yuno out in a flash, at which point only Langris remained to challenge the Fiend. But just as he was to be pierced, his location would be shifted thanks to the sudden entrance of his big brother Finral, who felt compelled to join the battle on account of what Zenon had done to his captain. And so from here, the two brothers would join together as one with their spatial magic in tandem with one another. Now with this latest chapter, and recognizing that his little brother wouldn't be able to keep up for much longer, Finral knew that they needed to close things out quickly. From there, Zenon would make many attempts to pierce them to no avail. They were able to zip from location to location just before the point of impact, but with so many uses, Zenon was beginning to get a grasp of their timing and movements as they gradually approached their inevitable end. But just when Zenon was assured of his victory, the two suddenly appeared behind, much to his surprise. And this newfound sudden jolt of speed was thanks to the application of Mana Method. And with this proximity, regardless of how powerful Zenon's defenses may be, Langris had the ability to eradicate space, as he would be sure to cleave straight through the chest of the creature. And at this point, Yuno would begin to regain consciousness. He'd immediately wonder how long he'd been unconscious, realizing that it had to have been several minutes at least. From which point, concern for his comrade Langris would quickly settle in, as just then, he would see it. Zenon with a barbed and bloodied Langris was looming over the collapsed body of Finral. Zenon was now healing and would express that even spatial magic such as the one possessed by Langris, which can erase everything, cannot destroy the heart of a devil, an especially resilient complication we have at this point encountered on a number of occasions. Yuno could barely muster the strength to lift his head. He would recognize Finral to be of the Black Bulls and Langris' older brother, on top of the fact that Langris was in danger of being killed. At this point, everything he had tried had failed. As he struggled to get back up, Sylph laid on his chest collapsed. I mean, the situation was so hopeless that Yuno couldn't help but question what he could possibly do differently, even if he were to get up. He would wonder if he made the wrong choice, just as Zenon would declare his own victory. And from here, we would have Yuno recounting a number of past events and occurrences. Firstly, the deaths of many guild members at the hands of the Dark Triad. Then the lengths to which he went in order to be selected for his mission at the captain's meeting and have a chance of avenging his guild and saving his captain, along with the tedious and unrelenting training he had endured. It was terribly frustrating as Yuno clenched his shaking fist. As from there, we would have a very humanizing moment for Yuno that to me has been long since overdue. Now bloodied and defeated, we would have tears streaming down a helpless Yuno's face. As opposed to the usual, this was not a look of unending confidence, perfection, or even beauty. This was a character broken by the crushing weight of failure. So much so that he'd question if this was truly the end, if this was how he would die. And at this point, his recounting of events would now go way further back, which is to say that there is a lot of Yuno development being undertaken with this single advent. He would reflect on how he was viewed by others over the years, how he was revered by his adopted family and others to be a genius, how he was the hope of his village, how he was chosen and acknowledged by all the guilds, how he was chosen by Sylph the Wind Spirit, how he was envied, hated, and even entrusted by those worth admiring, that he had lost but had a vow to keep, a vow to his comrades alive and otherwise. No longer would his fist shake nor waver. He would think back to his vow to Asta as well, and so with that, he would force himself up as blood would spurt from his mouth. He refused to let things end like this, and as it turns out, he was not the only one, as a foreign yet familiar presence would appear before him. It would express that it was him, but even still, he also has a power of his own, as Yuno's eyes would widen. A spade grimoire. A grimoire would suddenly appear and glow before Yuno, the advent of which would pierce the very heavens above. Now, Batoli was shocked but immediately deduced what was going on. In reality, Yuno's wind magic originated from the soul of leeched Entetia's child. The reason he was able to recognize this as such was because the very same sort of light was previously emitted by those on the verge of being possessed by elvish souls. This new power was Yuno's birthright, as again, Yuno would renew his previous claims. He vowed to save everyone as the Spade Kingdom's salvation and the future Wizard King of the Clover Kingdom. And so for that reason, he would stand and defeat Zenon of the Dark Triad, as the descended royal magics of both the Clover and Spade Kingdoms in tandem would be available to him, and that was the chapter. Wow, Tabata really did it. I am invested in Yuno just like that. This is just way too badass. 2 grimoires, 2 royal grimoires? Yuno really saw the Dark Triad with their 2 magic types and said, me too. What a king. A part of me is shocked that Finral and Langris got folded as quickly as they did, but at the same time, if Zenon was adapting to them and they had absolutely no means of damaging him, it was inevitable. We're better off clearing the board quickly as opposed to dragging out a futile effort. Now, by far the greatest wildcard to be found here will be the specifics of Yuno's new magic type. I certainly expected to synergize well with his wind magic to some extent, but this is overall just extremely fascinating. Now, despite body related magics being especially focused upon in the case of the Spade Kingdom, it is worth remembering that there are a lot more elemental types to consider within the Spade Kingdom. Regardless, this is royal magic we are referring to, so it is bound to be great. Yet even still, I don't expect it to be his mainstay all of a sudden, simply because Sylph is still the spirit of wind, and so it is that affinity that will be required to vanquish the devilish heart of Zenon. Yuno really has so many incredible things going for him. I mean, he's royalty, so crazy mana levels, he has the wind spirit Sylph, he has 2 types of royal magic, and is beloved by mana. I also found his intentions of being the Spade Kingdom savior to be admirable. I for one have been waiting for him to take some initiative in that regard, so to get it here is really nice. If you enjoy the chapter as well, let us know, and make sure you're subscribed to Plot Armor with notifications on. Because when it comes to bringing you some of the best Black Clover content on the platform, Plot Armor has you covered. We can talk about all this over on Twitter and Instagram, or even on our Discord server linked in the description below. As always, I am Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.